Wake up, buyer payer people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhoads on the Buy Here Pay Here Morning Show. Take it away, you two.
Hey, good morning,
Happy
everybody.
Monday from Utah.
Yeah,
It is
back.
a Monday over here, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is a Monday.
Yeah, we got a new setup in the podcast
we
studio.
were in Twin Falls over the weekend, and we're back now, and decided to completely change out how our studio looks. So came in and it's like, honey, we're not even connected.
Yeah.
So let's
Wait, did I hear her blame that on me?
I did not say, honey, it's your fault that we're not connected.
Okay.
I just said, honey, we're not even connected.
I knew that from the beginning.
So yeah, we're all
here,
good,
though.
and we're here, and
we're a
happy
little
to-
late getting going, but we're here.
So it's I always have to do a weather report. It rained last night, and oh my gosh, it's so nice to sleep to that when you can hear it.
I slept through it.
Was
I did not
so
even know
great.
it rained last
So
night.
great. Colors are beautiful, all of that.
Yeah.
What do we have coming up? We have coming up on Saturday, our youngest is getting
big
married,
wedding.
and so she's always, or she's, super excited, and
Yeah.
it's like, always Jim's fault. Thanks, Facebook user.
One of the things I'm noticing about this whole wedding thing is it seems to all be about the bride and groom, and there's almost nothing about it that is about the husband of the mom. It's like there's almost nothing
Jim's
about
like,
the husband.
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
I said,
we're-
I don't know, look pretty.
I mean,
I-
yeah. People said, Jim, it's not all about you, and so I'm having to come to grips with that. So
You're so funny. You just crack me up.
yeah.
He's got assignments.
So that's our Saturday.
Yeah,
we
that's our
got
Saturday.
a full week getting ready for all
Yep.
that. It's been back-to-back
yeah.
stuff here for us, between a shower and then the trip to Idaho,
Mm-hmm.
and now and then from this weekend, we go next weekend into San Diego,
We'll
which
be
is one of the
LHPH.
announcements on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you contemplating LHPH, if you never looked at it, it's not too late to grab a flight and grab a ticket for that event. We're going to be there. It's Thursday through Friday, the 10th through the 12th,
Yep.
in beautiful downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
And so we'll be broadcasting live on Friday, bringing interviews with the speakers from the event. I look forward to that. That'll be fun. But I would just say, if you're contemplating LHPH, and listen, this is a good time to look at it. So
We've
maybe
had
hop
one
on
of
a
our
plane.
clients just recently switch.
Yeah.
To lease here. So, and also I know that Bill Elizondo from NIADA is going to be doing a 20 group. There is an LHPH
Right.
20 group that they are going to be meeting whilst there, and that they have spots available. So if you are an LHPH and you are thinking about joining a 20 group, there is one that there are spots available. Good morning, George.
Yeah.
And I know that I think that they're kind of opening it up for people to kind of see what it's about too.
Yeah.
So
So we're looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
we're looking
That's kind
forward
of the
to
big
it.
thing work-wise on our horizon here. So look forward to broadcasting from there, and hope to see some of you in person out there, including the famous Bill Elizondo.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? We should take a drill. We should take a drill. We'll take a power drill with us.
Bill
We've got
on a
Bill
drill.
on a drill is
Yeah,
still
we
with
could.
us.
It still is. We
running around with us.
meant to give it to Ben Goodman, but it just
I
did
gotta
not
tell
make
you,
it there.
It's gotten a little creepy sitting in the corner of our closet. It just is a little.
It's not in our It's
I don't wanna
it's
have
in
to
the
explain it to
office
people,
closet,
you know?
and
Why do you have
well,
a guy's head
people
on a
don't really
stick?
get into our office closet, though.
No,
I mean, if I put
no,
it
but if
upstairs
they
in a
did.
flower arrangement or something in the living room, people would go, "Why do you have that there?" But still, it's every time we open the closet, it's like, "There's Bill."
Yeah.
And
I
so,
just-
Bill,
I
if
just-
you're listening today, I say hi to you all the time. You just never respond.
I just kind
Ever.
of feel like if somebody discovers that in our closet, there's going to be like a knock on the door, like Detective Smith. So I need to talk to you folks a minute.
It's just oddness. It's just, but that's Jim and I. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Should we get down to business?
We should get down to business. Today's topic is outsourcing.
Yeah.
And we have we've with all of our clients and with all of the conversations that we have, and with our different clients that we've been finding recently that outsourcing can be if done properly, can be a really strong proposition in different parts of the operation. It can add an awful lot to the organization and the management of the organization.
And we're familiar with some people who do
dealership.
it. We're not here to pitch anybody. I think it was a kind of a missed opportunity for me when I put the title out there. I should have called it, could outsourcing be a missing link for you? Like for me, I'm starting to see it in that way for some of our clients. And we've been having conversations with clients recently because they're, one of the things that we didn't talk a lot about here in terms of the bullets that we chose for the topic today is like this thing about scale. When you think about how to scale your business, it's a link that I think can be really important. So hopefully as we go through these bullets, you'll begin to understand why that's worth a look. I think a lot of dealerships are at a stage where there are a lot of pieces of their business that could use some help. And so I think for today, it's just about introducing outsourcing as a solution for many of you that find yourself in that situation.
I'm okay. I'm married into buy here, pay here, but just from my observations, as I would say, I don't think this is part of what you were, because you've got he's got 3, 4, 5, 6 different bullets that we're going to go through about some of the things, higher points to cover on that. I would say that if you're going to outsource something to start with, that I would say the first thing would be marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing would be marketing of some kind, that you are pulling someone in, and there are lots of options out there for marketing, from really low cost to some very expensive marketing. It depends on how much you want to get into all of the the digital side, the geofencing and the so marketing, I think, is probably one of the first things that I would suggest.
I chose
to a
not
dealer.
to kind of spend any time there because my thinking is most dealers who would hear this would understand the outsourcing for those kind of services, like finding people to do that. I really chose for today to focus mostly on those outsourced positions that would be customer facing or have customer interaction.
Yes.
So marketing, of course, is customer facing, but not the same level of interaction with the consumer. So I was really thinking about actual full-time hires.
Okay.
Like if you think about the dealer who's making decision about their next full-time hire.
Okay.
So let's think about, should I look at outsourcing this position instead? So for today, I want to run through some pros and cons of why, if you chose one of those positions to be outsourced instead of keeping it in-house, then I think the ones that dealers might be most uncomfortable about would be those where we're hiring somebody outside the building who's going to have interaction with our customers. We don't know exactly how that's going to look.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a comment from Maggie from C&M Coaching. With proper coaching and training and definitely call monitoring, I could have sent you some examples of calls because we see people not properly vetting agents. So if you're going to do it call for your phones, all of that, I highly suggest you listening to calls and training them very well.
Yeah,
so if you're going to keep that inside, that's one of the things about outsourcing, is that it does take HR and training a lot of times off of your plate.
Amen. That's one of my bullets.
Yeah.
Not so much the training part, but and it's absolutely true. But let's just go to the first one.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the first one, which is skill set, especially lead management. So let's talk about how.
Well, one of the things we talked about before, even going back to March in our live stream day where we talked about lead management and sales and some of the problems that come up with that, let's just kind of back up and think about a typical buy here, pay here operation that we work with. Many of them hire salespeople, and they divvy up the leads through some round robin system or whatever else. And then they've got salespeople working the leads that are coming in from outside the building, web leads, right? And the problem I see with that is there's several problems I see with that, but among the things that come to mind right away is we've observed that the skill set of the people who are chatting online and good and patient and working through that stuff and doing the online part, that's not the same skill set as the people who are really personable and friendly and good with customers on the lot. So it's differing skill sets to begin with.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of part of what Maggie is talking about as well, is that it's just having good phone skills, and the biggest place that you're using phone skills is in lead management.
And I got to say, I'm less
Besides
concerned about the phone part, and
Yeah.
not, we love our friend Maggie, and she's very good at what she does on the phone side. I would just say that, of course they're going to work the phones, but what we also know is that there's a certain percentage of the customers who don't pick up the phone. So I'm really just thinking about do I really want my salespeople who are supposed to be on the floor watching the lot and greeting the customers coming in? Do I want them tied up in a chat about down payments and working with the customers out of the building?
Yeah, well, and we have this conversation with a lot of our clients. It's like that a good salesperson closer is. You're found a really great catch if you find someone who handles sales and lead management very, very well, all in the same, in the same package. And another part of that, the lead management, is that if you've got your lead management being divvied out to salespeople, that if there's someone on the lot, an appointment, all your lead management goes out the window until that person is gone. And so if you're having a busy day and your salespeople are supposed to be doing lead management, basically your busy day, nothing's being followed up on, pretty much so.
That's a big one, like just dedicated person to, because one of the other things I mentioned is this idea of distractions. But I wouldn't think of a current customer as a distraction. If you happen to have a busy Monday, let's pick a busy Monday at a dealership, out there today. Customers calling in or coming in, then you would like your salespeople to give attention to those. And that doesn't mean that you want to neglect the customers that are sending in inquiries and making web inquiries, but I would argue that the person who's standing in front of you in the building is a much higher priority than the customer who's chatting online.
So even if your salespeople have a good skill set in lead management, is that there's going to be a lot of opportunity, especially on a busy day, that they aren't going to be able to exercise that at all, and your leads will be falling through the cracks, or it'll take a day or more to get back to them.
And I realize as we talk about this, some of this is kind of, should I have a BDC or not? And I'm really talking about something different than that. Yes, we're definitely talking about the BDC element right now. For those listening who aren't familiar, BDC stands for Business Development Center. So it's like
or a BDR, which is a business development rep.
Right. So if you hear us talk about those, that's really what we're referring to. And, that became a thing, especially with franchise stores. They started hiring. And so if you picture a cubicle of people that are just in there working the leads and trying to set appointments, then that's where a BDC really comes into play. So, a lot of the things that we're talking about here in the sales side, I would be recommending that you can't really outsource salespeople to meet your customers on the lot. So what we're really talking about is this BDC position or BDR who is going to chat with customers and set appointments. So what I love about that is they're not distracted by, things on the lot, no matter what that might be. It's not lot parties moving the cars. It's like all the stuff that happens in a retail business. Somebody coming in asking for directions are just not distracted in the same way.
Yeah.
So they're able to focus on those leads, and their job is to set an appointment. So the next one there was
this is an important one, and it's you can have the people on site if you have someone doing like your lead management or this could be collections, this could be a number of things, but when you outsource, you don't have to worry about management. That includes training. That includes, filling in when there's a gap somewhere. It's done through someone else. So it's another piece off of the dealer's plate that they don't have to worry about because they know someone else, that's their job.
Right.
And they just report to you. It's kind of like you've hired out as an employee, one of your people on your team is someone that's handling all of that, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So when you, if you were if you were to enter
Words.
into an engagement with an outsourced BDC, for example, then most likely the way that would work is you as a dealer would have a single point of contact, and that person would effectively be the sales manager overseeing this BDR. And so I have direct line of communication there, and I don't have to manage that person. And I also, so we can go on to the next piece of that. Because
Well, we're supposed to be talking about pros and cons too.
Okay.
So, we've been talking a lot about pros. And I don't know if we're going to wrap up with some of the cons or whatever, but I just wanted
cover
to.
them as we go.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is, this is a big one.
Okay.
For a lot of dealers, besides just the management, and it's like doing the schedule and the, making sure and the payroll and all of that kind of stuff, the HR side as well is, and that's, whatever issues that come up, they're not yours to have to worry about. And, Jim and I, we both have worked a lot of different places, a lot of different businesses, all of that. I can say my personal preference is to not have to worry about HR.
Yeah.
I just don't. It's like I can do training. I can do a lot of this other stuff. I do not want to have to worry about HR.
Right, for sure. Yeah, the people piece is my least favorite part. And keep in mind, when you're talking to Jim, you're talking to somebody who was a partner in a retail business when I was 24 years old. I've been around retail a lot. I've been, greeting customers in the door. And one of the downsides of retail, one of the difficult things to manage in retail is you never know who's going to walk through the door next and how much time that's going to require.
Yeah.
So that's a tough part about that. But then on the HR side, it's like the actual managing of the people, the payroll, the bonuses, the
okay.
sick,
So it's you've got like no HR, no sick days, no vacation days. No bonuses.
You might not have to calculate a bonus. That the ones that we're working with currently, they're paid a flat fee, and there's So I think we can cover some of the cons here before we move past. Like when you say that management is included, that's beautiful. I don't have to manage the person, but it also begs the question, because a lot of our dealers, God bless them, they're hardworking folks, and they have a hard time letting go of control, many of them, right? And so the idea of somebody else managing somebody in another building, and I don't see if they're productive or not. I think one of the things we have to be prepared to do as dealers is, commit to the engagement, monitor the actual results, and not get too bogged down in that you're not standing over that person verifying that they're doing their job.
Yeah.
You just monitor the results. But we can see that the opportunity to have greater results is there because of the focus element. But in the meantime, even if you start to look at this and say, okay, even if the output were the same as somebody else I hired, I pay the same amount of money, I get the same amount of production, then all these other benefits, the HR factor, the sick days, that's somebody else's job to make sure there's somebody in that chair doing that job.
Yeah.
So that's a stress factor that we didn't list here.
Well,
but
man, I don't know about you, but every dealer I talk to would love to have some stress taken off their plate.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just and a lot of times it's people is a big part of that.
Absolutely. So you've got somebody else managing the HR side, making sure that the seat is filled and that the people are reporting for work and doing their job. So now, if I'm a dealer, I have one person, the outsourced, person that I've hired. I'm going to communicate with them. We're going to monitor production. We're going to look at the reports. Is it working? Is it not working?
Yeah.
And if the seat goes unfilled one day, obviously we got to deal with that. That's obviously on the outsourced company to make sure there's somebody in that chair doing the job. And so we see that.
Yeah.
But I would also say, what we didn't touch on here, you start to see already as we talk about this, the opportunity for businesses to scale. And it doesn't matter if you're down here on step one because you've been open 6 months or you're, many years in business. A way for you to advance your business can be this outsourcing. So that's why I said it could be a missing link for many of you because now I can scale. This outsourced companies, they can put people in.
So I would like to talk about some cons.
Okay.
But that there are and there are cons. One con is cost. And sometimes, a dealer's going to think, oh my gosh, there's so much money going out to outsource. And I think specifically like collection outsourcing, that kind of stuff. And we've dealt with dealers where it's like so much is going out. Well, there's a lot of different options out there. And we've seen some that are very expensive.
You're talking about external servicing or collections?
Yeah. So it's like you're outsourcing your collections.
Okay.
We've seen some that are very expensive and they're very cubicle. They're very, so like a rep doesn't just do one dealership. They do multiple and so it's super not personal, super generic, systematized.
Can be a little robotic.
Can be a little bit harsh. And so we've got money, we've got that as well. But we would just want to say just that there are options out there that don't have that problem. Like there's a spectrum. Reps. And so one bad experience or one bad dealer's experience in this, and when they say, hey, you shouldn't do that because of this and this and this, there are other options out there. And so we've seen some for BDC and collections and some of these other insurance verification where there are specific people that are assigned to your dealership. They speak your dealership's language. They use the word tracks from your dealership. They know what your tools are. They know what kind of things that they can work around and what kind of arrangements they can make and all of those kind of things. So that the cost and the impersonal side. So it's, this is, there are customers, there are team members, those kind of things that can be a con and it can be a pro as well. You need to look at the spectrum because we know, especially in collections, that one of the biggest challenges that we have one of the biggest challenges we have today is that we're not connected to our customers the way we used to because people don't come into the office to make a payment like they used to, right? Mm-hmm. And so the idea that we need to have a collector in the dealership because they're the ones making developing a relationship is not as strong as it used to be.
Good point.
And so, the idea that we maintain this dealership connection through our collectors because people are coming in is just not the case anymore.
Right.
And so we've got to find other ways of being able to do that. So outsourcing collections and some of these other pieces can be a really it shouldn't, and I would suggest that if you're looking to do that, it shouldn't take away the personal touch you feel by having someone inside, that knows the dealership, that knows how you communicate, and all of that.
And I would say
really
that
take that
the
away.
people that we're working with, and we'll be able to report back an update in about 3 months of working with some of these folks. A couple of things come to mind. One, you're right. The people that we're working with have a dedicated rep. So it's not like you're going to be sharing that person. That person knows your business model, and knows
the word tracks, knows all the stuff.
And so they're going to be a representative of your company in that way. So this is not just like some person in a cubicle who randomly gets the call. So that's one thing to kind of differentiate there. But then the other part that I would say, I have on here, number 4 was no retail distractions, which I already touched on a little bit. Like all those things that walk in the door, like you're not going to have that if you've got an outsourced collector, insurance verification rep.
And that doesn't mean that you can't handle someone coming into the store to make a payment. Because, the salespeople usually, whatever, especially if it's small, salespeople know how to do that. The manager knows how to do that. And, I ask a lot of dealers, compared to 5-10 years ago, how much has your traffic decreased?
Yeah.
And so it's like you can,
One other element, so far the people that we're working with through an outsourced, and so far we only have worked through the BDR side. So we haven't had anybody do outsourced collections yet.
Yeah.
I have past experience with that sort of thing, but for today, it's really just thinking about how this can look for dealers if they're going to go this route. And we're working with people who the BDC actually adapted to the dealer's CRM. So the dealer was already familiar with the CRM and the data and the inputs and and whatever. So
Neo,
they're able to,
or whatever your lead or your underwriting management tools are, all of that. Yeah.
So
they
that
know
just
it.
helps. That way, the dealer's seeing the same volume of of calls and leads and interactions, and they're also seeing they're seeing more production. They're seeing certainly more interaction. So we'll be able to tell in the coming months whether that translates into actually
and I
more
agree
business.
with you, George. There's a difference between collectors and cashiers, and so anyone can cashier. That's pretty easy as long as you've got safeguards on your till.
I would still want my cashiers to be super friendly.
Yes.
If they're on the phone.
And
so not just anybody.
with I've seen with outsourcing that if they get to a certain point, they might have someone that's in house that handles the hard collection calls, that handles the hard stuff. But you can outsource all the other easy stuff, the reminder calls, the hey, let's make an arrangement, that that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I agree with you. George, there is a difference between a cashier and a collector.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, somebody who's going to, and the nice thing too is you're able to hire the skill set. You'll be very specific in hiring the skill set for that position. And so that's something else that, you're afforded when you go looking for this, because they have very narrow and specific job description, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to find the people who align with that.
And a lot of times they're not distracted. Like, you said retail distractions, just
Could be
distracted
in-office
by, okay, so it's like the HR thing. How often does it happen where there is some kind of drama that's happening out on the floor, out on the lot, and you come in and everything stops. Everything stops because we got to talk about the thing, and we got to, and it just whatever. Yeah. So it's like those distractions gone. Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one. Yeah. The last one was going to be closing percentages. Like, can we see increased closing percentages? In theory, that can be true, right? But we would expect that could be the case here. If you're seeing that your closing ratio is low, and you happen to be one of these dealerships that's using kind of car people to manage the leads, and they're not getting a lot of leads, and they're not converting the web leads, then I would say it'd be something to look at.
So someone, Jeff McIntosh, I can't believe anyone would even consider outsourcing calls to third world countries. Yeah. Anytime I receive a call from a party like this, they receive an immediate click, and I wish services services or vendors, hopefully you train fluent English, Maggie. Yes, that is a con. Yeah, that is a big con, and so be very careful about the people that you, if you are outsourcing to someone, that they are using people that, if they are out of the country, that they have very fluent English skills and English understanding skills, because that's a different thing.
Or whatever the language of the customer is. Like, we definitely have some dealers who have high percentage of Spanish, as a first language,
well,
and so
which is kind of nice every once in a while. And this is something that Spanish thing that can be a pro if you have someone that is working from an outsourced company that speaks fluent Spanish and English, because everywhere we go with our dealers, that's one of the questions we ask when we do an on-site visit is like, have you tapped into your Spanish community? And it's so funny. I'm a squirrel, but people will go, we don't have a Spanish community, and it's like, then you're not looking hard enough, because there is a Spanish community, and that's that's a really, really beautiful set of customers.
I showed last year that I know some Swahili, but I didn't. It doesn't come into. There's not much demand for it. I haven't been able to really get any work from my experience.
It's a made-up language.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
His Swahili is not really Swahili. Oh. So anyone out there that speaks Swahili, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was. I thought it was Swahili.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a reference.
It's an old joke.
From a year ago.
I wish I had that cued. And I would,
we can tee that up. But no, I think the thing today, when we talk about pros and cons, obviously, I think the biggest piece of it would just be, for the con side, it's like dealers have to get comfortable with the idea that they can find an outsourced company that really would represent them well, right? So the con becomes, can you do that? Can you really find somebody who's going to speak to your customers in the way that you would want to speak to them?
That
right?
speak in fluent English.
Yeah.
So, being able to communicate effectively, and then potential con could be cost.
Well, I would say
Too.
my experience has been, at least with some of the ones we're working with, it's the same as what you're going to hire somebody to put them in the building.
No. Well, because we've seen some collecting companies where it's like, oh my gosh, there's
Oh,
a
well, we're
lot
talking about
of
a different thing, though. Yeah, you're talking about
outsourced collections.
Yeah, but it's a different thing. It's different. It's different when you're engaging somebody to do servicing of your portfolio, and they're in a kind of a. I don't think of that as the same as this kind of outsource where we're hiring an agent to represent our company to do this job. So yeah, I should have been more clear about that.
So that's actually a really big differentiator. We're not talking about hiring a service like that. We're talking about outsourcing.
They work for you.
They work for you
through an outsource agent. It's a little like a temp service, except that you've got somebody who's full time, dedicated to your particular business, and you just don't have the HR and oversight requirements. And then it's an engagement, and you monitor that. Is this person, even though they're not working in my building, which we didn't even talk about that part. Some of our dealers, they don't really have a place for a desk for another salesperson.
Oh my gosh, we've seen some dealerships where, like you drive up to a gas station and there's that little itty bitty convenience store cashier area that's part of the gas station. We've seen dealerships being run out of ones that small. Sure. And it's like, I don't know where you put people. Right. It's like you barely can fit a desk.
So it's a factor. It's a nice opportunity to be able to hire somebody, have them work outside the building, and they can be productive. They won't have the distractions.
You don't have to worry about your taxes. You don't have to worry about payroll. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just a payment that you send out.
For sure. So anyway, it's something to look at. I think it can be a missing link for a lot of people, and it can be a really important step to scale, because your ability to hire to move from 1 to 2 to 3 BDRs or 1 to 2 to 3 collection agencies, collection agents.
Words again.
I need more coffee.
Yeah, I need more coffee.
But yeah, it's just a matter of being able to scale and move that up and adapt more quickly.
So if you are intrigued by what we've talked about today about, how could I do that at my business, and you just need a little bit of help, give us a call. Yeah. We can set up a call and kind of walk you through some of the higher points and some of the options. Is it?
It's
where?
Up there somewhere.
It's where? I'm looking. It's right there.
Oh, nice.
There it is. Yeah. Need help? Call or text us 903-816-0216.
That's my cell phone.
That's his personal cell phone.
Send me funny memes too. Like I just always could use a chuckle.
Remember last time I told someone to send cat memes?
Yeah. Nobody said. Oh no,
you did get cat. Well, and also Scott.
Oh,
Shamrell did
sent something. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So, if there's anything we can do to help, and we can give you some referrals too. So give us a holler if there's something that if you're looking into possibly doing that, if it might be a solution to some of the challenges that you're having, or you just want to get better.
In the meantime, enjoy your Monday. Look for us back here on White Hat Wednesday. Got some fun things to talk about there, so look forward to seeing you over there.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will be back on Wednesday with the White Hat Wednesday. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks, guys.